Good evening and welcome to 1010 News, your top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Andy Hong. A plane crash in Moscow killed all 62 passengers on board. The Fly Dubai Flight 981 Boeing 737 took off from Dubai and was due to land in Moscow's Rostov-on-Don airport at 1 in the morning. But the plane circled the airport for 2 hours due to high winds and poor visibility and crashed in its landing attempt. The plane clipped its tail 800 feet, about 240 meters behind the runway, and investigators from Russia, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates are trying to find out why. The 60-mile-per-hour winds, nearly 100 kilometers per hour in the metric system, is certainly one of the more obvious culprits for this disaster. The pilots were both very experienced, both had nearly 6,000 hours of flying time, and the aircraft passed the rigorous C-check level inspection just 2 months before on January 21st. As an aside, airplane inspections are classified from the routine A-check to the extremely thorough D-check that only happens 3 to 6 times in the service life. So that the plane and the pilots were in good shape seems to leave the weather as a prime suspect. Of course, Russia requires by law that such incidents are investigated over 2 months or more. So hopefully by then investigators will have a much more comprehensive account of this horrific incident. In Turkey, a car bomb in Ankara killed 32 and wounded more than 100. More recently, a suicide attack killed 4 at a popular tourist shopping area in Istanbul. As a powerful, influential nation with historical ties to both Western and Eastern Europe, the Baltics, the Middle East, and Asia, one can say it is quite a problem that Turkey is becoming destabilized. Authorities are linking the attack to the insurgent group Kurdistan Freedom Hawks, or TAK. Terrorists are getting bolder and bolder in Turkey. 3 major attacks, the one in October 2015 and a peace rally that killed more than 100, the one from last month that killed dozens in military vehicles. And this most recent one all took place within a 5-kilometer radius from the Turkish Department of Defense building. The top suspect for the Paris bombing back in November, Salah Abdeslam, has admitted that he was to be the main suicide bomber of France's football stadium, but backed out of the plan at the last second. Abdeslam was arrested on Friday by a police raid and was questioned by Belgian authorities. He is fighting for extradition to France, but is cooperating with the police. He is being charged with participation in terrorist murder and activities of a terrorist group. Investigators are hoping to find out more information about the Paris attacks and the Islamic State's plans and network behind its financing. Tragic news again, as it was announced that a U.S. Marine was killed in a rocket attack led by ISIS on a base in Mahmur, Iraq. The Marine was providing support at a recently established fire base in northern Iraq. The base is where the U.S. has been conducting advise and assist activities as part of the coalition effort against ISIS. Other Marines were injured from the attack, and the identity of the slain Marine will be announced after the family is notified. The Marines have been receiving rocket fire daily, and some attacks have claimed lives of Iraqi soldiers and Kurdish Peshmerga forces. A group of pro-government demonstrators took over the streets across Brazil against the anti-government protest. There has been general political turmoil in Brazil as former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was detained and connected with bribery investigation involving contacts with Petrobras, Brazil's state-owned oil company. However, the current president, Dilma Rousseff, reacted to the situation by appointing da Silva as her chief of staff. This would require the Supreme Court to preside over his case, making it harder to convict him. There has been massive demonstrations for the resignation of Rousseff and the arrest of da Silva. These two officials, however, claimed themselves as advocates for the poor, claiming that they lifted 50 million people out of poverty. On Thursday, a federal judge issued an order to block da Silva's cabinet nomination, but another court overturned that decision on Friday. Until everything works out, it seems like the protests will continue. Back in the United States, despite opposition from the Republican Party, President Barack Obama nominated the new 9th Supreme Court Justice, a spot vacant since the death of Justice Antonin Scalia. The new nominee, Merrick Brian Garland, the well-known moderate, is the Chief Justice in the D.C. Federal Court of Appeals and was overwhelmingly confirmed for that position in the Senate, 76-23 back in the Clinton days, meaning there's no reason for the Republicans to so vehemently oppose a nominee whom they happily confirmed 19 years ago in 1997. But they're still opting to refuse to confirm any nominee until after January 2017, when the new president will be sworn in. President Obama called the Republicans' actions an abdication of the Senate's constitutional duty and a dangerous precedent for future presidents. Going back to the presidential race, more and more people are standing up against Donald Trump. Mitt Romney, prominent Trump critic and Republican presidential candidate in 2012, endorsed Ted Cruz, another anti-establishment candidate who was viewed as the most radical until, that is, of course, Trump jumped into the race. Protesters in Arizona blocked traffic near a Trump rally while demonstrators in Manhattan marched from Columbus Circle to Trump Tower. Trump, the candidate, however, is still in a strong lead, and if this lead continues, will most likely end up becoming the Republican nominee for president. An Edmund Burke quote for the day: "Evil wins only when good men and women do nothing." Remember that. The court has awarded Hulk Hogan, a retired professional wrestler, $150 million for his case against Gawker.com. Hogan sued Gawker for $100 million for violating his privacy. Hogan's attorneys state that Gawker had secretly taken a video of him having sex and then putting it up on the internet without following journalistic protocols before posting it. As Hogan was an actor and entertainer for over 35 years, Gawker used that fame to increase the tape's value by $15 million. Gawker, however, thought that the video was not like any other celebrity sex tape, as they claimed that it only contained 9 seconds of sexual content. Eventually, the court awarded Hogan with $55 million for economic injuries and $65 million for emotional distress. Now revisiting our very old piece on the trash crisis in Lebanon. Lebanon is finally starting to clean up. Several trucks filled with garbage have gone to a landfill site that has been temporarily reopened as a part of a 4-year plan to resolve the problem. The closure of the landfill site led to the streets filling with uncollected garbage for 8 months. Last summer, piles of trash grew so large that people started to burn their trash, releasing toxic fumes. The garbage has since then piled up on beaches, mountain forests, and riverbeds, although plans to open 2 new landfill sites have been announced. Protesters say that the new sites will not be a lasting solution to the problem of waste management. The government was hoping to export the garbage, but its hope was lost as Russia, the intended destination, did not agree to accept the deal. Finally, for tonight's science news, the world's longest aircraft was completed on Monday in the United Kingdom's biggest aircraft hangar. The Airlander 10 is a 302-foot-long aircraft that a British firm has spent the past 9 years to develop this prototype. The aircraft, which is more like a blimp, can't stay in the same spot for 3 weeks and can stay afloat with bullet holes in its surface. The air vessel requires 1.3 million cubic feet to refill 15 Olympic-sized swimming pools to get off the ground. Although the cost took $36 million, the firm is hoping to build 12 Airlanders by 2018, some as passenger aircraft and some for Coast Guard duties, military and civil surveillance, filming, and academic research. Not sure about the military part, though. Nobody's doing any SEAL Team 6 infiltrations rocking up in that thing. And that was the 1010 news for this week. I'm Andy Hong. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with more of your top 10 news of the week in 10 minutes. Stay educated.